Lanka, what have you done? Here on My 11 Circle presents Cricbuzz Live, we did say that that victory against England has sparked off something in this tournament. They end up beating England, and now, even though it's halfway through the game, you'll have to say kudos to Afghanistan for restricting India, no matter what the surface, to a very modest, it's one word that comes to mind for the moment, 224 for 8. Virat Kohli looked like it was more like a 300 type of surface, if not 380, but nobody really supported him. Kedar Jadhav, a few runs at the end, but all in all, a very disciplined bowling effort from Afghanistan. And I wonder how my guests in the studio will react to that. Joy Bhattacharjya, Robin, never mind where we predicted. I think even if we had revised our predictions in the 15th over, we would still have gone 275, you reckon?
Yeah, I'm sure. As in, I don't think we would have gone anything less than 275, given the potential within the side, irrespective of the wicket and the nature of the wicket. But clearly, there was something in the wicket that we as viewers couldn't grasp, and even the people who called the pitch report couldn't understand or probably couldn't read. And it's very hard to read a wicket, and you need to give credit to those excellent pitch reporters at that point in time. But I do think that the pitch played differently than anticipated for everybody involved. And I think Virat was the only one who was able to take kind of stock of this situation and still play run a ball. It did feel like the guys who got in really, and like even Vijay played 41 balls for his 29, MS played 52 balls for his 28, and Kedar in the end made up 52 of 68 balls. But you knew that the runs were, it was dependent on these blokes, for the guys who got in and got a feel of the wicket to actually take the score through. And I'm sure they'd be pretty upset with themselves for not having followed through after getting a slice of understanding, what the wicket was. So I'm sure they're pretty disappointed with that score. But having said that, I don't think the mood within the dressing room would be down. I think it would be upbeat to the effect that they know that what they have to defend, so the bowlers will have to turn up. And I think definitely Kedar Jadhav has 10 overs to bowl in this game.
When Rehmat Shah came on to bowl, we were thinking, well, maybe he's a good surprise element against a team like the West Indies, or maybe someone not as comfortable against spin, because India has a good record against spin. Not only did he end up taking a wicket, bowled a few decent overs, but it showed overall in this particular game that India didn't perform as well in spin, as they have done in the tournament so far. So let's just have a look at these numbers. Yeah. South Africa, Australia, Pakistan. 53 overs of spin faced at 6.39. How many wickets lost? Nil. Against Afghanistan today, 34 overs, 3.5, 5 wickets. There's a story right there.
Absolutely. Obviously, the pitch had quite a bit to do with it. But the important thing was, if you see both the last two innings that we have watched, that's Sri Lanka yesterday, England batting yesterday and us batting today, it's really sparked off by an early wicket. And, credit to Rohit, he got credit to Mujib, that was an absolute jaffa. Yeah. So the ball that got Rohit was really, it started everything off. Also, what happened after that was, except Virat, everyone else was sort of doubting the pitch. They were not quite sure of what they were playing. The great thing about Virat is, even with that, and while not playing as fast as he normally plays, he was still at a run a ball and more than a run a ball. Look at the rest. Virat Kohli is batted at 106.
And see the number of boundaries.
Yeah. Just 5 boundaries. He just run lots of ones and twos, rotated the strike. We have failed today. Where India's failed today is to rotate the strike. And look, what's happened with Dhoni for a long, long time now is that, he takes his time and then he gets around and he makes it up by hitting in the end. The problem with that approach is, if you do get out before you actually start hitting the big ones, then you've left your team in a real jam. Because on this surface, anyone who needs to hit needs to have 10, 15, 20 balls. Nobody could read the wicket before that. So that also makes one more thing. The two batsmen who got out early, KL Rahul and Vijay Shankar, that means they threw away the fact that they were set at the wicket. Because 20, 25 balls of the team you have taken to get set.
And 2 sweeps, 1 on either side. Yeah. But again, if you had to assess that before we come to the fall of wickets, and another little number that we're going to show you, just trying to assess the nature of the wicket, Robin. If you look at wickets that fall to spin and that change of record for India, you'll think, oh, maybe this was a square turner and ball was bouncing. Yes, one did bounce from Rashid Khan.
Not just one, I think a few bounced.
A few did, but it was not unplayable.
No, it wasn't unplayable, definitely not. But it also was a rather slow wicket. But you have to give credit to the Afghanistan side. They bowled well, they understood what were the limitations on the wicket and they utilized those limitations beautifully. I thought they bowled really well. In fact, when Rehmat Shah came into bowl, I said this is where India's going to, cut loose and make some runs. But he ended up bowling so well, which was nobody saw that coming. It was almost like he was kept aside just to bowl against India, and he was successful in getting in Vijay's wicket, and even that was just hitting the stumps by just a little bit. If the umpire decided to give that not out, that would have been not out because it was the umpire's call at the end of the day. So you can say maybe in support of Vijay that the rub of the green didn't go his way. The umpire's decision didn't go in his favor in that sense because it could have gone either ways, but. I think that the Afghanistan bowlers also bowled very well on this track, and it's not just that we didn't rotate strike well enough today, but I think the fact that they bowled well enough and they fielded well, the effort on the field was 110% by the Afghanistan players, and credit must be given where credit is due, and credit is due in that aspect to them.
And I think one wicket, I know it sounds bizarre, but at the end of it sums it all up because you've got the top order batsmen out in certain ways. When they got Shami out, it was just about knowing that you've got to be clever. Don't try anything silly. Tail ender, lower order batsmen just come into the team, keep it straight, slow a ball, gone.
No, absolutely.
So many of the dismissals were thought through.
I mean, if you remember, they had that boo-boo where they couldn't run out Dhoni. But the way it played on Dhoni's mind, and that is a classic Rashid dismissal. Basically going down leg, beating you, he's running down the track at him. And that's, Dhoni obviously at that point in time has said that, okay, enough is enough, I need to go for it. So think of the same Rashid, he's just gone for about 110 2 days back, and then he's come back and he's bowled beautifully today, restored confidence. It also tells you one more thing. When a team is under pressure, Rashid is a very different bowler. I mean, in that situation, he was under pressure from the very start. He got hit for a couple of sixes, fours early. Today, he was allowed to settle in. Once a bowler like that is allowed to settle in, he's a very dangerous bowler.
Yeah, I know from experience that the more you go defensive against Rashid, the more aggressive, the more he climbs on top of you. And the best way to play Rashid is to counter attack, is to attack him, so that is definitely the best form of defense against Rashid. You hit him, you be on the aggression against him, you look to score runs off him, and then you pepper that with singles and twos or singles, and then he's under pressure and he suddenly doesn't seem to know where exactly to pitch the ball. But the minute you start giving him a lot of respect and you play him well and you say, okay, let me figure out what he's going to bowl, he starts becoming a very dangerous bowler because he finds his rhythm very quickly. But the minute you don't let him settle down as a bowler, which Virat actually did today, hit him for a boundary of the first ball, but if the others could have also continued in that vein, maybe he wouldn't have ended up with the same kind of bowling analysis. If you saw what he did in the previous game, they never let him settle down. They went after him at all times, and that put so much pressure on him that he just kind of said, okay, it's just not my day today.
In the IPL, Gayle had hit him for a huge number of sixes in Mohali in one particular game, and when asked later, said, you treated him like a net bowler. He said, no, I treated him exactly like Rashid Khan should be treated. Because he's a class bowler, I went after him, so hence made him look like that.
No, absolutely, and that's exactly what's happened today. I mean, you give him that opportunity, he's a different bowler. But as I said, Mujib for me is just such a class act as well. We don't talk enough about him because he does this job. Taking for a spinner to take the ball up front with just two outside is not easy. He's been brilliant for them, and that Rohit Sharma dismissal is very important because if you look at all our informed batsmen, Rohit is the batsman in form for us.
Also, Joyda, if you see how the other teams have played against Mujib, for instance, how England played against Mujib, or in the first game that Afghanistan played, when Mujib bowled, the attack was taken to him, and he's a very similar bowler to Rashid. When you take the attack to him, he goes in his defensive. He suddenly loses his scruples of how do I get this batsman out? He gets on the defensive, and suddenly you have your number on him, and then you're able to take him for runs. You're able to score runs off him. So today I thought we started a little circumspectly. Obviously he bowled a beautiful ball to Rohit, really, as maybe Rohit played for the leg spinner, kind of straightened back into him. But outside of that, I thought they played him out well, but that gave him time to find his rhythm and find his space within where to bowl on that wicket, and that made it slightly more challenging. Maybe just your tactical plans could have probably just shifted a little bit today. Probably we would have got maybe 30, 40, 50 runs more.
Now, Virat Kohli, I'll come to you in a minute. Virat Kohli at the start of the tournament or slightly into the tournament said the pitches are going to become a little bit tired and you will see scores maybe coming down, so it's not necessarily going to continuously be massive scores. And I think here's proof in the last 3 innings played at this tournament. First, the 2 innings from yesterday, Sri Lanka batting first, England, and have a look at these scores at the 30 over mark. 135 for 5, 126 for 3, 133 for 3. See where the teams have finished up. Eerily similar, and also the number of wickets lost in the remaining 20. You know, you lose some, but a lot of wicket lost, not enough runs scored.
Yeah.
Go
Sorry.
Go for it, Joel. No, go for it, please.
No, I'm just saying that given the situation, what is happening out here is that clearly, you know, one is the pitch is getting tired, two is it's also situational. You see the first innings, the situation that England had, they just kept losing wickets one after the other. For us, it was a slightly different problem. We weren't losing that many wickets. It's not that we lost our wickets in a heap, like England steadily lost wickets. They had nowhere to go. And in fact, they actually made up 26, 27 runs in the end. For India, somewhere that, you know, what you call that acceleration, that never happened. You know, every time you thought Kedar Yadav or Dhoni would break the shackles, they got 1-4 and then it went back again. You know, that acceleration, and that's a huge issue out there. You know, 4 in that 26
you haven't
to 40.
touched 5 throughout the innings.
Yeah, but then, you know, at all points, even when Kedar and MS were batting, you saw them trying to score boundaries and they weren't able to get them off. But at the same time, they understood that they were in and they didn't want to throw their wickets away because it would take a new batsman time to get in. Like you saw Hardik coming into bat today and he couldn't go after the bowling immediately, even though he tried to. He wasn't as successful as he normally is on good batting tracks. Today was obviously much slower than most other wickets. So the batsman actually had an idea that we're in now, so let's take the responsibility and try and take this down as much as possible. And they did try to score boundaries. They did try to, you know, up the ante a little bit, but it wasn't working. And when they scored a boundary, they thought they'll probably cut loose and they can probably score boundaries from there on in, but they weren't getting that. And on days that's going to happen. But it's easier to accept that situation and say, okay, what's the best course of action from here on in? And they felt, I'm sure that was their call in the middle, that let's take this as deep as possible so that the more balls we play, the more we have an understanding of this wicket as to how to score runs on this wicket.
Here I was about to say, when both of you were reacting to that 30 over mark, you were going up Pele, no, you first. I thought maybe India at some point after Virat Kohli got out was saying is he going to go first? No, am I? Okay, who's going first?
Yeah, I felt one of them had to go a bit earlier than that. I mean, as I said, you're absolutely right. They probably would have said, let's take it deep. I felt that one of Kohli, one of Kedar or Dhoni should have taken the risk slightly early in the game. My problem is singles. We were just not getting enough singles. And Virat, again, 5 fours in his 67. I mean, that means 47 of his 67 runs were runs he actually took. And I think he was the only one who got that strike rotation absolutely bang on. And that also worries us. That's a worrisome.
If there was one bone I personally had to pick with Afghanistan, it would be that Mohammad Nabi didn't bowl his 10 overs, looked highly impressive. Maybe that risk factor against someone like a Hardik Pandya towards the end, but to compensate for that last over, he came out towards the end for the post-innings interview and he said the only way he described that wicket was slow and our objective was dot balls and then let Indian batsmen get themselves out.
Well, then his objective was absolutely perfect, because if you see the wickets, I mean, except for Mujib, for Rohit's first wicket, the rest of the wickets, I mean, were pressure wickets. They were situational wickets rather than wickets. I mean, they were, not situational wickets, they were wickets. 2-3 batsmen gave their wickets away, which, it happens. Virat hit a shot that didn't happen, Rahul got out, Vijay Shankar got out, but towards the end, it was the pressure of the situation that we were playing rather than this. I mean, look at Dhoni, look at Hardik Pandya.
Now, I know they have home base in Greater Noida and in Dehradun. They've played also a lot of cricket in the Gulf with similar slowish kind of sluggish surfaces. Is that coming to the fore here? Is it sort of a little more familiar to them than maybe a very quick surface?
Perhaps. I'm sure they have an understanding because they practice so much in Noida and Greater Noida, and I'm pretty certain they have an idea of how to bowl on these kind of tracks. And you have to give, like I said, that's where credit is due. Nabi knew exactly where to bowl and how to bowl them on this particular track, and they followed through with that. And irrespective of what team they are or where they stand, I think credit must be given to them for the way they bowled under the circumstances against one of the best teams in the world, if not the best team in the world, right? So I think that credit must be given to them, that you were able to keep the best team in the world quiet and keep them under 230 runs in 50 overs in a World Cup game. Kudos to you.
summed it all up. I mean, we talked about the wake-up call for someone like India or Australia. Doesn't it work in reverse as well? Afghanistan looks at Sri Lanka and says, where have we been? Come on, let's step up.
Absolutely. And I think when you get a start, you sniff something, then you get a little bit of the pitch, then your premier bowler gives you a few wickets. Everything's going your way. It just works for you, and that's what happened with Afghanistan.
Look how West Indies went against table toppers. New Zealand, who second in the group. First over, 2 wickets, 2 first bowlers. So obviously a performance like yesterday is going to rub off on the rest of the other teams that aren't in the top 4. It's going to rub off on them and inspire them to say, okay, let's pull up our socks and make sure we go out there and give our best performances.
Yes, well, let's go back centre stage to Southampton and see what Danish has got for us from Southampton. Let's go and find out.
Tell me, what are you looking forward to, sir, in this game?
A gorgeous game.
Okay, that's a very generic adjective-based sentence or whatever the word is. Hey guys, it is game day. India versus Afghanistan and the fans are here in huge numbers. We're going to go out there and speak with them and ask them 2 questions. The first one, India versus Afghanistan. Why? And the second question, what are they looking forward to in this game? You're here for India versus Afghanistan.
Yeah.
Was this like a childhood dream to come and watch India play against Afghanistan?
No, not really. It is not my childhood dream. In fact, it was my dream before I was born.
Just watching India in general is a dream always.
Any opportunity to watch India is a good opportunity.
Not really. I would have preferred other matches.
No. I can't lie. Not really. Not really. I thought of something else.
Something better than nothing.
Given a choice, would you want to see more India versus Afghanistan games?
Well, I would prefer the other matches.
Just a little worried, are the bees going to come out and attack me by any chance?
I'm not really sure.
No, from the hair.
From my hair? Maybe.
Now, what are you looking forward to in this game?
Maybe 400. Looking forward to India scoring 400 plus.
India hitting 500 for the first time.
How many of you 400? Put your hand up very quickly. 400. Okay. Everybody wants 400. Okay.
Rohit Sharma double century. Expecting double century from Rohit Sharma.
Yeah, I'm expecting KL Rahul double century.
Everybody will score double century. Will score 2,000 runs in total. Okay, so tell me, what are you looking forward to in this game?
I'm looking for Ravi Shastri actually. Yeah.
Why?
I just want to see whether he's keeping up his fitness.
Yeah.
A very good fight from Afghanistan and the entire field 50 overs.
I want to be a good game, very contesting, not a one-way game. And to be very honest, the way the Rashid Khan has been tweeted, I didn't like it because we love him and we want to see that he also bowls good, man.
Go watch the game. Go. Go. Both of you. Go. We're done. We're done. Go see Ravi Shastri. Go. Here, take your bag. Here. Bye.
I wanted to be here till the end.
They've come a real long way.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, you want to? Can you do that again? Can you just do that again? Yeah, thanks. Yeah, thank you. Just come back again. Yeah, come back again. Yeah, great. Thank you very much. Thank you. Yes, you look like a...
India! Coming in.
We are from Chennai, Andhra,
Hyderabad.
Okay. Take it easy. Calm down. Good job from Hyderabad. Calm down.
I think a strong India performance, to be honest. I think India,
I want to see them doing well with the play.
Okay, this is just... Okay, now this is random. Everyone scream. Yeah, come on. Yeah. Right through my conversation with the fans, the one thing I kept hearing was they want to see India score 400, and I was also somewhere on their side hoping India wins the toss, and they did win the toss. Now have the fans got their wishes answered?
Ji haan, Danish bhai, the fans have got their wishes answered. There was a double century. India scored a double century. Why is there disappointment? Of course there were double centuries. India got A big double century, 224 in fact.
Actually 400 and then somebody turned around and said 500. Why 400 is not good enough? Let's make it 500.
Let's be honest, we honestly thought that this would be a high scoring game.
Absolutely.
After the pitch report, you really thought, oh, whoever wins the toss, would want to bat first, and rightfully so. Virat also felt that they should bat first, and we all expected a score not less than 350, right? And when we
and we are not even just delirious fans.
And then when we did that first box, we sat up there and we felt, man, we're making ourselves look like jokers, because everyone kind of called it wrong, including the pitch reporters kind of called it wrong, right? There was enough, and they did say that it would turn a little bit, but they didn't. Nobody knew the wicket would be as slow as it is. And it'll only be, it'll be interesting to see how the wicket transpires now after the first innings, after there's a little bit of rolling that's done. Would it become slower? Would it become better to bat? It'll be interesting to see.
That's my big question. Now, in hindsight, once you look at what's happened in 50 overs, do you go back and think, should we have bowled first? Or is this the kind of wicket that gets slower, in which case your decision is not bad?
I think, yeah. I don't think Virat is the kind of guy who second guesses himself. So he's got it as it is, and he said he'll just take the situation as it is. But given those circumstances, definitely it's the batting side's prerogative to decide how they want it rolled or what they want to get done on this. But I think I really don't know how it's going to play in the second half, because so far the pitch report has been so wrong that to predict anything more about this now would be folly.
It's also India's lowest score batting first when batting full 50 overs since 2015. 247 for 9 was the previous one against South Africa, which India ended up winning.
Yeah.
So that's a long period of time to have.
Don't get me wrong, this is not going to be an easy chase for Afghanistan under any circumstances, even if they had more spinners than us. This is not going to be an easy chase. Bumrah under any circumstances is a dangerous bowler. But
Shami is fresh off the blocks.
Shami is fresh off the blocks. So it's not going to be easy at all. But they're definitely in with more than a sniff,
And probably their fearlessness is what would be the most dangerous aspect, because if you have a kind of an evenly matched team, you're going hard at each other, they're also thinking, oh God, smaller total. The people like Hazratul
don't be surprised if Afghanistan throw the kitchen sink at from the get-go.
Yeah, exactly.
They might just say it's 224. Maybe if you go after them, get a few boundaries and sixes, we might be able to put pressure on them.
Sazai knows only one way.
Yeah, so maybe it might just work in our favor. I wouldn't be surprised if they actually throw the kitchen sink at it and say, let's go hell for leather and see what comes out of it.
Yeah, imagine if Mohammad Shahzad was also part of this. Oh, he would have loved it.
He would have enjoyed this batting on this.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
But they've still got enough solid batting. They've got someone like Rahmat Shah, who's enjoyed his stint with the ball. He's always been solid for them. Hasbatullah Shahidi showed the last time around against England that he can stay for a long period of time. They've got the experience of Asghar Afghan. And when they
he opened the batting and he scored a 50 in the last game. And Neb came down the order at number 6, I think, and scored a lot of runs for them again. About a 45 or 50 not out, I think, towards the end.
And let's not forget Mohammad Nabi. I mean, no matter what, he's not even on the left column, he's on the right column over there, and he always contributes. He's one of their solid fixtures.
It seems like essentially they battled Rashid Khan. They've got a pretty long batting order in that sense. I don't know how Najibullah Zadran bats, but it seems like they essentially have batting till Rashid Khan. So I'm sure they're giving themselves a proper chance at this, and they'll probably go hard at this score, because every other team's kind of gone slow, chasing a score of 240 or below, and they've, like England kind of put themselves in trouble yesterday by approaching the way they did. Maybe they'll approach it the way they know to approach it best and try and go, hell for leather and see what comes out of it. And I think it'll be an interesting game to watch.
Najibullah Zadran is a strange animal, because if you look across all teams in world cricket, how many specialist number 7s can you find in the world who don't bowl at all? And he doesn't keep.
Yeah, but he's a fairly
No, he's a good batsman, but I'm just wondering why he's then not settling into a number 5 type slot.
Correct. He's, I mean, the place where they bat him, maybe you might ask yourselves, but that's probably what's happened is they have a lot of all-rounders who do better than that. But actually even Nabi, I wouldn't bat Nabi that late, definitely. Nabi deserves to bat much higher than that, because more than anything else also it's international experience, the kind of experience that he has playing around the world. And it may be a shorter format, maybe a different format, but he has that eye for a situation, and he has that eye for winning a match under big game situations, and that's very important.
All right, there was a little threat issued to us that because we were that far away from the My 11 Circle expert couch, we wouldn't even be given these couches to sit on. We'd have to stand for the entire show. But the producer was kind to us. He said, you can sit, but you need to make your predictions in something decent as far as the end is concerned. So
I requested the producer to allow us to make predictions post the 15th.
He's considering that.
post the first com box.
Watch this space. It's gone to the High Commission. It shall be updated.
Yes.
Very shortly. So, Robin, now what do you reckon? End of the match. Now at least we know what the pitch is playing like.
I'm not making predictions. I'm only going to say India's going to win.
Okay, so how much you can give us a number. How much of Afghanistan make? 224 is all they have to chase down. So
I'd say 175.
200.
That close. 175, 200. Am I going for an Afghanistan win or am I sticking to the colour blue? I'll stick to the colour blue. I'll go a little bit lower because if they go hard, the only way India, they're going to keep chipping away and taking wickets. 155. Sorry, Afghanistan. We love you.
No, if you had said Afghanistan, you would have lost your passport, mate. Forget a visa.
Forget visa.
You'd lose your passport.
All right, that's it. That's where we are right now. We'll be back in the 15th over and it's going to be crucial because this is a run chase to keep monitoring. It'll be very interesting to see where Afghanistan are in the 15th over. Are they 90 for no loss or are they 15 for 2? Well, maybe not 15 for 2, 30 for 2. We'll find out. We'll see you then. And My 11 Circle presents Cricbuzz Live at the end.